ASU played great on the field to beat BYU, but it was Mountain America Stadium that was the key to sealing that victory.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks to all of you for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. And, of course, a special shout-out to my everydayers for here every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return. New customers place a $5 bet. You get started with $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Victory Monday, and what a fine Victory Monday it is. 9-2 Sun Devils, number 14 on the AP poll. Real quick, props to you, AP voters, for finally getting it right. You have disrespected ASU all year long, but I will give credit where it is due. You only put us at 21, and then you saw us beat BYU, and you said, yeah, we got to get them higher. And you put us at 14. You moved us up 7 spots. Much respect. Thank you so much for that. Let's go ahead and move on. Today, to celebrate Victory Monday, of course, we have to talk about the game. We have to talk about the good that happened, the bad that happened. We've got game balls to hand out towards the end of the show, and I have some takeaways as well. But we start with the good. We always start with the good. And the good in this game, there is some great even. And the best had to be Mountain America Stadium. The crowd. I have not felt that kind of energy from Mountain America Stadium in years. I have been covering this team for 4 years. I have been credentialed and at the stadium for 3 years. In that time, there has not been one dynamic football game for ASU. Previously, it's been an up and down an up and down 10 years for ASU. There's been lots of highs. There's been lots of lows. There hasn't really been any games that would make you go crazy. The craziest game we had was 2014, 10 years ago, against Notre Dame, and that game was electric. This was the closest we came to that game. And you know what? We said all week that this was the biggest game in 10 years. We said all week that this was going to be this decade's Notre Dame game. We were right. My goodness. It was a sellout, and not like a, hey, we're selling out this game. It was a true sellout. There were no seats. Everybody was there. There was no extra space. You had your spot, and that's it. And there was a lot of blue. There was a lot of BYU fans there. And credit to you, BYU. You showed up for your team, and you cheered hard for a team that didn't quit and played 60 minutes. We'll talk about that more later, though. They really brought the energy. The fans did. The ASU fans brought some serious energy. Fourth quarter, I make my way down to the field for the fourth quarter. I usually go down when there's about 5 minutes of game time left. I went down only a few minutes into the fourth quarter. I probably got down there around the 12-minute mark of game time. I'm so glad I went down as soon as I did, because the passion and the energy that I felt from the crowd behind me, in front of me, to the sides of me, above me, below me, it was nuts. It was electrifying. I could feel myself tingling because of the noise around me, and I'm just shaking because of the vibrations of the noise. Like the stadium pulse thing from College Football 25, it was there. It was there in this game. If you were BYU playing that video game, your screen was shaking, and it was shaking like crazy. Then you had that Javen Robinson interception. And goodness gracious, that is clutch. Clutch by Javen Robinson to haul in that interception and bring it back the distance. Unfortunately, he was stopped short and did not get to house it the way that Demarius Randall did 10 years ago against Notre Dame. And yes, that is exactly what you should have thought of if you were watching that game and got to experience the game 10 years ago. Mirror images of each other. It was crazy. And I want to talk about Javen Robinson a little more for a minute, because Javen Robinson was exactly the way I have described this defense for a few weeks now. You have heard a lot of people say ASU's defense is bend, don't break. And I have said that's not true. That's not fair. The reason why I say that is when I look at ASU's defense, they're going to come out, they're going to play good, hard football. There's going to be great drives, there's going to be bad drives. The difference between this defense and a bend but don't break defense. Bend but don't break, it's kind of like, oh, you know what? Oh, man, we were able to force an incomplete pass and get off the field. This defense says, we're going to make a play. We are going to make a play. We're going to change the direction that this game is going right now. We just gave up a big touchdown. Time for us to make an answer. And boom, they answer. Javen Robinson, interception when they needed it most. As you heard on the radio broadcast from Tim Healy, voice of the Sun Devils, they had picked on Javen all game. And then Javen made him play. He made them pay. He made them realize, hey, maybe we should spread the ball around more, not just keep throwing at 12, because 12 made a play when it mattered. The same way that this defense has made plays when it mattered all year long. We need to get off field. There's a sack. We need a turnover. Boom. There's a turnover. There's so many different things that this defense does. They step up to the occasion. They don't get lucky. They don't get off the field by luck or by any kind of screw up by the offense. They get off the field because they earn it. That's the way this defense is played all year long. It's not bend but don't break. Do not ever describe ASU's defense as bend but don't break. You want to describe them? You describe them as stepping up to the occasion. This game just solidified my point that I made last week and that I will die for the rest of the year. I'll be on that hill and I will fight until I can't fight anymore. This is not bend but don't break. This is step up to the occasion. Javen Robinson exemplified that. Two guys on offense who kept ASU in this game big time. How can we not talk about the people's running back, Cam Skattebo? Still working on getting that trademarked, by the way. Cam, if you're listening to this, hit me up. I would love to cooperate, see if we can get something done for you, dog. But Cam Skattebo, not one, not two, but 3 touchdowns, a hat trick for the people's running back, for the Scat Man, for Skattebo, Scattacan, Scatta touchdown, whatever you want to call him. And my goodness, was he a beast. This was just typical vintage Cam Skattebo in this game. They gave him the ball a lot. 28 carries, turned it into 147 yards, 3 touchdowns. And guess what? His long was only 23 yards. So it's not like he ripped off a 70-yarder and then he compiled another 70 yards. Nope. His long was 23, which means of his other 27 carries, he still captured 124 yards. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. He's the master of chunk plays. He's the master of, you think you got him tackled? Well, you're wrong, because he just ran you over. Oh, you thought you were arm tackling him? No. He's going to put you in the ground. It's Cam Skattebo. It's just what he does. He carried this offense. Not a surprise to anyone. Other guy I want to mention, Jordyn Tyson. Wide receiver 1 on this team. I've been a fan of him forever. I will continue to be a fan of him, but we're getting to a point, and we will really touch on this towards the end of the podcast. We are getting to a point where we need to realize that what Tyson is doing is a historical season for the Sun Devils. He is a handful of yards shy, less than 50 yards shy of crossing the 1,000 mark on the 1,000-yard receiving mark for the season. He is currently at, I think it was 958 when I looked, 958 receiving yards. He needs 42 yards to cross 1,000. The last receiver to cross 4,000 yards was Brandon Ayuk in 2019. That's a long time to go without a 1,000-yard receiver. Tyson is right there. 9 catches, 125 yards, chunk plays all day. He had a big play down the field. He had some run after catch. He was bouncing off dudes. This is the guy. You need to do whatever you can to bring him back next year, especially knowing that Skattebo is gone, because you bring back Jordyn Tyson, Sam Levitt's there, and a lot of the other weapons are there, and this offense is going to continue to click in 2025 and hopefully beyond. But as far as 2024 is concerned, Skattebo and Tyson, they're going to carry you pretty well. And then Sam Levitt didn't play a bad game, didn't play a great game. I thought that he was going to continue playing at this elite level. He did come back down to earth, but guess what? in a worst case scenario, he managed the football game very, very well. And he had some big time plays, including a 61-yard touchdown pass to Xavier Guillory. It was a dime, too. I know some people were like, oh, it was underthrown. The way I saw it, yes, it was underthrown. But when I look back at it, I'm glad it was slightly underthrown. It's not like Guillory had to come to a complete stop to catch his football. He just had to ease up a little bit. And I'm glad he did, because that safety was coming in hot. And there's a chance that if that ball hangs up there just a little bit longer, that safety gets in there, closes in, maybe breaks up the pass, or God forbid, he just takes down Guillory. So maybe I'm wrong. That's just the way I perceive it. Bottom line, offense was really good. The defense made plays when it mattered. And the fans, that's you, had a great day as well, keeping Mountain America Stadium louder than it's been in years. Of course, this wasn't a perfect game, and there was a lot of bad that we got to talk about, and a lot of controversial bad at that. And that's coming up next. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let me talk to you about our friends over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, that could be you, get a $150 bonus bet. How do you get it? Well, you take a $5 bet, you put it on anything. If it wins, you win the $150 in bonus bets. You can put that on anything, by the way. It doesn't have to be something specific. You take that $5, you put it on a money line, a player prop, a spread, or a live bet. By the way, if you want to make live bets, FanDuel's got you covered. NFL games, go ahead, open up the game. Tomorrow night, or tonight, I should say, is Ravens-Chargers. If you're looking at something that you want to bet live, open the FanDuel app. They've got live stats. They've got a play-by-play and so much more, so you feel confident in whatever you're going to place that bet on. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, just check it out. You will feel confident that way. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. Again, get started with $150 in bonus bets. All you got to do is win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment with more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Wherever you're getting your shows, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll get an update whenever we post new content. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Let's get back into our conversation now, and we got to talk about the bad that came with this game. And there was some bad. And we're going to need a second to digest this, especially because Twitter, oh my God, that became a toxic war zone. So we're not even going to bother talking about the BYU fans that were upset. They have every right to be upset. They lost, and the way that the rest of the game unfolded, I don't blame them for being upset. I don't appreciate some of the things that were said, but that is what it is. That's on them. That's not on ASU. ASU fans, what are we doing? Let me go ahead. Where's my soapbox? I'm going to stand on my soapbox here for a second. Kenny Dillingham is the man. And when you had everything unfold, the chaos that unfolded with the clock seemingly running out, the fans storming the field, the refs wanting to review it, which I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that, to make sure there's time left, and then informing Kenny that there is time left, and then trying to sort out the chaos that's going on the field. Kenny had a lot of passion in that moment, would be the politest way to say that. There was a lot of no words, and people were upset about it. I saw people comment, you'll have to excuse me for this. Someone called him a jackass, if you will, because he was loud, because he was swearing. Are you kidding me? Where's that energy when Nick Saban did it? When Kirby Smart does it? What about Mark Stoops, one of the biggest, loudest coaches ever? Steve Spurrier, Urban Meyer, Dan Lanning, Dabo Sweeney. There are a countless number of coaches. Steve Sarkisian. There is a countless number of coaches in college football, past, present, and future, who swear, who get angry, who get animated, who scream at the top of their lungs until their face is flush like a cherry. So why do you have an issue with Kenny? Is it because he's young? Is it because he's 34? Is it because he's a second-year coach? I don't get it. And quite frankly, I don't appreciate it. I truly don't. That's your head coach. He is fighting for your school. Do you know why he got so upset? Because he thought the game was over and they won. Because the students were on the field and having a good time and enjoying themselves against what was the biggest win this program has seen in years. And you're going to get mad at him over it? And here's the thing. I know there's some people that have said, well, you can support the coach and not appreciate the way he handled that. And I'll tell you, I do appreciate he handled it. I'll 100% bite down on that. I love the way he handled it. I'm sorry there was some bad language. Like, that's part of the game. That everyone does it. The players, the coaches, the fans. You were probably sitting at home screaming at your TV the same words that Kenny was. So I'm sorry, like, call us a hot take or whatever you want. That's not it. Kenny is the coach of Arizona State Sun Devils football. He is passionate. He loves this program. He grew up in the Valley. This is his team. In a literal and a figurative sense, this is his team, and it's your team, and he's taking care of the team, and he is fighting tooth and nail for the team. I'm sorry that he said some words that, first of all, you couldn't even hear it on the TV. You had to go to Twitter to look it up. So it's not like a kid heard it. I don't get it. I really don't. So with that being said, it's still part of the bad because it stirred up a lot of people. I understand the discourse, but I do not agree with it. We'll leave it at that. Here's what I do agree with that people are very upset with. And I am so on your side with this. What is going on with the play calling at the end of football games right now? So we'll start with this. This is the second straight week that ASU has really let off the gas in the second half and allowed your opponent to get back into a game that should have been over. Now, against K-State 2 weeks ago in Manhattan, great game. You crushed them in the first half, 21-0. You end up beating them 24-14. You just didn't do anything in the second half. And when you look back, in the moment, you're really upset and you're stressing out about the game. When you look back, you're like, yeah, they were in control of that game. They didn't put up a lot of points, but they weren't necessarily stressing at any point. It was just the fans that were stressing out. I was stressing out. I was ready to have a crash out. But hindsight, they were fine. This game against BYU, totally different. Totally different. Because they did the same thing where it felt like they let off the gas and allowed BYU to get back into this game. And unlike K-State, where it felt like you were putting makeup on a pig, so to speak, no disrespect to K-State, it's just the same. Unlike that, BYU wasn't done. That was Randy Marsh. And Randy Marsh got up and he said, I didn't hear no bell. And BYU got up and they said, I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear the clock hit 000, triple zeros. We're not done. And they kept going. They kept slugging and they kept swinging. And the play calling, oh my God, it killed me. I love Brian Ward. I will defend him till the day I die. It's one of the best things that happened in this program, which is why when he got extended on Saturday, I was hyped about it. I talked about him and Marcus Arroyo's extension. So if you missed that, definitely check out that episode. It's a nice and quick one for you too. So you can pop it on after this. This was not a great coached game by anyone. Not by Kenny, not by Brian Ward. Marcus Arroyo, it was interesting, I suppose. But Brian Ward, have we made adjustments over the last 3 weeks? They are playing this zone defense that is just getting picked apart. It's short completions to the outside of the hashes that have worked on them. And now against BYU, they got crushed over the middle of the field. Jake Ratzliff was doing whatever he wanted to do. It could have been a 5-yard completion. It could have been a 20-yard completion. They were getting some run after catch. Like, they were moving the football through the air at a point in time where you did not want them moving the football. There were some very curious decisions by Kenny Dillingham to go for it on fourth down instead of take your 3, or to do whatever they did in the last minute of the game. And I think that's where we'll go ahead and steer this conversation now as we wrap up the bad from this game. What happened? Javen Robinson gets the interception. They take it back to inside the 20. I want to say it was goal to go after Robinson was tackled. They certainly were within 15 yards of the end zone. And they just do the weirdest stuff. Instead of trying to run it into the end zone and go up 2 touchdowns with Cam Skattebo, they're like playing with their food. It is the best way I can describe it. And then fourth down comes around after a handful of penalties to push them back for, what are they called? Delay games and stuff like that. And for the third time this year, Kenny Dillingham has Sam Levitt take the ball on fourth down and just chuck it as far as he can. I understand the logic because it's just a turnover on downs, whatever. It hasn't worked. The 3 times you've tried it this year, it didn't work. And it didn't work in this game because you left a second on the clock. There are 2 different ways I would have gone about this. If I was in that situation, the first thing I do, and this is my preferred option, I get as many penalties as I can to get myself to roughly midfield. I bring out the punting unit and I punt that thing to the moon. I don't want the distance. I want that thing to go as high as it possibly can. Like, I don't care if it goes 50 yards down the field. I want it 50 yards in the air. The longer the hang time, the better. And then you're going to be able to get all of your coverage crew, and you're going to surround the guy who's going to field it. He's not going to have a chance. And if he does have a chance, there's a really, really good possibility that it's because the defense or the return team committed some kind of penalty. The other option, which I heard from somebody in the press conference room post game, was to have Sam just run to the other side of the field and take a safety. That's fine too. It's only 2 points at that point. The only thing I'm not sure about is if BYU would have gotten the free kick, or if that just ended the game. I love my option of just punt it as high as you can and surround him. There's not going to be a chance. Or just run around in the back of the backfield and just slide down. The Patrick Mahomes strategy, he's won Super Bowls off of that. I know it's going to affect Sam Levitt's rushing yards. Who cares about Sam Levitt's rushing yards? Sam Levitt doesn't care about Sam Levitt's passing yards or rushing yards. There was better ways to end that game. They did not end that game the way that they should have. Still got the win. That's the most important thing. Coming up next, we got some takeaways for you. I got 4 takeaways, and I got 4 game balls to hand out, including a special game ball, one that we haven't done this year. That's coming up next on the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you were trying to get tickets to this Sun Devils game, you know as well as I do, it was not cheap, and you were paying an arm and a leg to get those tickets. Well, I've got good news for you, because if you're looking for cheaper tickets moving forward, whether it is the Territorial Cup or anything, sports, concerts, theater, whatever, you need to go to Gametime. And Gametime Picks is the perfect place to get your tickets, and their curation process is terrific. They're going to filter out the fluff. You are only going to see prices on tickets that are amazing, affordable deals. You're not going to have to search through thousands of other options. You've also got your all-in pricing feature, and it's going to show you the total up front. There are no surprise fees at checkout. Some ticketing companies, they're going to hit you at the last second. Nope, Gametime tells you exactly how much you're paying up front. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. You'll know what to expect when you arrive that way. The best part about Gametime, it's not close. It is their lowest price guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less than what Gametime has, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. And of course, you're covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's Locked On College for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. One last time. Thanks for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. Let's wrap this bad boy up with some takeaways and some game balls. 4 takeaways, 4 game balls. Takeaway number 1, Cam Skattebo is not just good, he is historically good for ASU. This game that he just put together, it felt like just another Saturday for Cam Skattebo with everything that he has done this year. He's over 1,200 rushing yards. He has 14 rushing touchdowns. He is over 400 receiving yards. He has 2 more receiving touchdowns. So 16 touchdowns on the year. He has almost 1,700 yards from scrimmage, 5.4 yards per carry, 13.5 yards per reception. He's unbelievable. He's got a minimum of 2 games left. The Territorial Cup and then a bowl game. So even if ASU does lose the Territorial Cup, which they're not, by the way, but we'll talk about that later in the week. Even if they lose, he still has a bowl game left. He has a minimum of 2 games to continue adding to these statistics. He could have no worse than 3 more games. If you beat U of A, go to the Big 12 championship, win or lose, you're still going to a bowl game. You either have a playoff game or a bowl game. There's a lot of opportunity here for Cam Skattebo to continue adding to what is a historic year. He's about 400 yards away from Eno Benjamin's single season record with at least 2 games, potentially 3, maybe 4. There is a very real chance for Cam Skattebo to be able to break that record. That's nuts. 16 touchdowns this year. I don't know what the single season scrimmage touchdowns record is for ASU, but Skattebo's going to have a shot at that too. I would not be surprised if he had 20 touchdowns before the postseason between U of A, and he could score 4 touchdowns against U of A. I wouldn't be shocked. But whatever happens before the end of the year, 2 games, 3 games, 4 games, whatever, Skattebo will have 20 touchdowns. Mark my words. Not a doubt in my mind. He is having one of the greatest single seasons in Sun Devils history. I put on Twitter, and a lot of people responded to it in a very positive way. In 2 seasons, he's going to go down as an all-timer for the Sun Devils. And I hope that you are appreciating everything that he is doing. He's remarkable. He is remarkable. Takeaway number 2, Jordyn Tyson. He's not just really good this year. He might be one of the best receivers the Sun Devils have seen in a long time. Over the last handful of years, ASU's had some quality receivers. Elijah Badger, criminally underrated. It's just a bummer he decided to transfer in the spring. If he had stayed, him and Tyson would be nasty together. Him and Tyson would be a disgusting combo. There's even a part of me that thinks that he would have Tyson's season and that Tyson benefited from Badger being gone. Well, if Badger was here, I'm curious what he does. But nonetheless, he's not. Badger's still a really good receiver. Before him, you had guys like Ricky Pearsall who were very, very quality. And then it was a pretty big talent gap, honestly. Then you had Brandon Ayuk before that. And Ayuk was wonderful. He was masterful. He ended up being a first-round pick for a reason. Before him was N'Keal Harry, who went on to be a first-round pick. Jordyn Tyson, he's following in their footsteps. I stand firm. He should come back for 1 more year. Even beyond me being selfish and wanting him to continue playing with the Sun Devils. He has about 1 year's worth of tape. He played half the year as a freshman at Colorado. He missed last year to redshirt from that injury. He's got about 1 year of tape. It's great tape. He comes back next year. It's the same situation. Arroyo's back. Sam Levitt's back. Kenny Dillingham's back. Everything's the same. You put up these kind of numbers, you're a first-round pick. So Jordyn Tyson, he's having a great year. He might be one of the best receivers ASU has had in several years. We'll wait and see. Takeaway number 3, the bend but don't break narrative of this defense. It's just not true. It is a false narrative. I already explored that earlier. We'll leave it at that. Takeaway number 4, this Valley is activated. Post-game, we were talking with Kenny Dillingham. He was sitting next to Jordyn Tyson and X Guillory. And someone in the not the audience, the press, buddy of mine, Sam from the Walter Cronkite School, asked Kenny, he says, do you think the Valley's activated? And Kenny's just smiling, big old grin on his face. He goes, what did you think? Yeah, I'm serious. I'm asking you, what do you think? And Sam said yes, and Kenny said, yeah, absolutely. And he turns, he goes, JT, do you think it was activated? And Jordyn Tyson goes, yeah, it was activated. X, do you think it was activated? And Xavier Guillory, yes, it was activated. Guillory actually said something along the lines of, I've never been in an environment like this. I praised Mountain America Stadium and the fans earlier in the show. I can't praise you guys enough. And I can't begin to describe to you the level of excitement that we have given to the players and to the coaches. The way that the fans have showed up this year, you guys deserve a lot of props. You get props from me. Let's go ahead and hand out game balls. Speaking of props, game ball number 1, Cam Skattebo. What a surprise. Game ball number 2, Jordyn Tyson. What a surprise. Game ball number 3, Javen Robinson. Javen Robinson had arguably the most important play of this game and might have had the most important play of the season. It was a potential, as Tim Healy put it again. By the way, if you haven't listened to his call, go listen to the call. It is chilling. It's chilling how good the call is. But Tim said himself, and I couldn't agree more, that interception might have saved the season for ASU. If he doesn't get that interception, there's a very good chance that BYU punches it in and gets a touchdown and takes the lead over ASU. What happens after that? Who knows? Maybe ASU does drive down on offense with no issue, and they are able to win the game. Maybe they just aren't able to. But we don't have to wonder because Javen Robinson got that pick and saved the season. Final game ball. It's to you. The Sun Devils fans at Mountain America Stadium specifically. The people who rushed the field not once, but twice. The students, the fans, the parents, the alumni, everyone that was there supporting the Sun Devils. You get a game ball from me. Find a way to distribute it amongst you guys. You guys deserve the credit. That place was rocking. That was one of the best environments I have been in a long time for a sport. Not just an ASU game, not a football game, a sporting event, period. I've been to playoff games over the last several years. I've been to baseball games, hockey games, basketball games, football games, college and pro. I have not felt an atmosphere like that in a long time. This valley's activated, and as good as the players have played and as good as the coaches have coached, we got to give the fans a shout out too, because it's thanks to you guys that have put the time, the effort, and the love and emotional support and the energy into supporting this team through the highs and lows. You deserve the love. The season ticket holders, you guys deserve the love. The people who paid out of pocket for very expensive tickets, hopefully you use Gametime, by the way, you deserve the love. You went to the game, you get a game ball. If you watch the game, you still get a few good high fives out of me. I'll probably dap you up. I don't know. All the fans deserve credit. This game ball specifically goes to the fans who went to Mountain America Stadium to make a difference. What do you guys think of this game? Who would you hand a game ball to if you took the 4th game ball and gave it to a player? We'll leave it at that. Who would you give it to? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter as well at Richie Bradshaw 36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Thanks as always. I appreciate each and every single one of you for tuning in to make Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications wherever you're getting your shows. And as always, a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. We will be back again tomorrow to do our grading episode, and we will be here for the grading episode. I know it's been a little while. We are getting it done. We are grading this game. The offense, the defense, the coaching staff. Who graded out on a scale of 0 to 100? Tune in tomorrow. We'll discuss it. I'll see you there. But until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun Devils.